There was a program on PBS TV, I believe, called Affluenza, and it dealt with materialism and happiness. And it offered a quiz to see if persons suffered from affluenza. And the first question, see how you do. Which of the following is comparable to the size of a typical 3-car garage? A basketball court. B, a McDonald's restaurant. C, an RV. D, the average 1950s home. The answer, you may suspect, is that most of today's garages are the size of an entire home in the 1950s. Number 2. In what year did the percentage of Americans calling themselves very happy peak? 1957, 1967, 1977, 1987. The answer is that the number of very happy people peaked in 1957. And it has remained fairly stable and a bit declined ever since. But it tells us that we now have garages as big as our houses were in the 1950s, but we were happier and more satisfied at that time. Kind of ironic in a way. These weeks of August, we are reading from St. John's Gospel. It's called the Bread of Life section. We will hear it for the coming weeks. And Jesus challenges us to ask ourselves what really satisfies us. He tries to offer us the bread that satisfies, the food that endures for eternal life. And we and so many others and those around him in the gospel, they misunderstood really what Jesus was offering. In the first reading, Exodus, it shows us in a sense ourselves. We are often never quite satisfied. The Israelites had been enslaved for 300 years and they were given the way of deliverance. They prayed for that for a long time, that God would deliver them from Egypt. And he did. And now, in the desert, they have little food or water, and they wonder if they should go back, because they remember that when they were in Egypt, they had enough to eat. They wanted to fill their bellies. It seemed that they had very little patience with God. There was no sense that after all that God had done in their lives, to believe that he would still take care of them, that he would not let them flounder and die. Last Sunday, we read how Jesus fed the multitudes, and they responded by wanting to make him a king because he had managed to feed them. Jesus was desperately trying to tell them he had something much more satisfying that could really last forever. But they couldn't quite hear it. They were focused again on filling their bellies. They remembered, though, how their ancestors had eaten manna in the desert, and kind of curiously, they credited it to Moses. Moses got them the manna. And Jesus reminded them that it actually came from God. It was not Moses who fed them. It's a good reminder for us in what we have in our lives. We still seek satisfaction, and so often it comes from our own efforts. We believe somehow that the things that we have in our life really are because of ourselves and our own work or effort, that it is apart from God. So we credit ourselves and not God. We still use our own definition of satisfaction. We use that phrase sometimes these days. The one with the most toys wins. So easily we begin to stack up stuff in our lives. But it isn't enough, and it doesn't quite satisfy. Jesus invites us this day to connect to Him, to have faith in Him, to have faith in the gift of the Eucharist that we will receive soon. Jesus is the real source of satisfaction, and so we are invited today to receive openly and generously of His goodness.